Check 1, 2. Check, check. Okay, it looks like we have everybody in, and it looks like the sound's working. If there's any problem with the sound tonight, go ahead and give me a nudge in the chat box or on email. The videos will come out tonight. The reports, I have struggled to get written reports out because of the virus distraction. But I'm sure that will improve this week. So anyway, you'll get the videos tonight and you will see them in your email. Usually it takes about, I think Jen, last week it took about 5 hours for them to upload. Let me just make sure that we have everything loaded properly here. This might take half a minute, guys. To add to our challenges, we have had to deal with bandwidth and server capacities that Click Meeting is struggling with because of the virus work at home overload. Okay, so I intentionally challenged the Twitter community this weekend, and it upset a few people, and some people stopped following me and that kind of stuff. I was never concerned about followers, so for me that's not the problem. What I was hoping for was some and I just resubmitted the fact that followers aren't my main objective. Sorry guys, just so anyway, yeah, it's not my main objective. My main objective is winning, and then my secondary objective is hopefully I can share my experience, my journey, as we call it, with other people. Why is this important? I was hoping to leverage, a little bit of my community to possibly leverage my brain power. So I was throwing out some controversial things intentionally, not just to see if people could give me some insight I wasn't already getting from other trading friends, but also perhaps maybe a bit of a feel for what these markets were going to do, because we see an inflection coming. So the main reason behind the thesis goes like this. Well, let's do this. Let's go down to we now have 14,450 COVID-19 deaths globally. 14,450. We're debatably 4 months-ish into it. Now, I hear a lot of people talk about exponential growth, but I also know that the curve is flattening in areas. There's a whole bunch of variables here. I'm not going to go into them all, but some talk about China maybe not telling the truth. I'd be as concerned about any country not telling the truth. But anyway, so maybe China had more deaths. Maybe China had more incidents. Nobody knows. But what we do have a fairly good handle on, at least for now, is that there's 14,450 registered, and it's approximately 4 months in the making. So then we go to where I upset everybody. And sorry, I'm just trying to find it. I went on quite a rant here this weekend. So mortality burden of influenza is somewhere between 250 to 500,000. Now, I won't get into all the science right now, but is COVID-19 corona? And is corona influenza? Okay, well, let's forget about that for a second, and let's focus on 250,000 to 500,000 all-cause deaths according to WHO for influenza. Now, what I know for sure is they don't shut down the world and go on a testing spree and locking everybody down under whatever form of law to make sure that they get tested. And God forbid, when a vaccine comes, what those laws are going to look like. Denmark has already made a law that they can hold you down or possibly shoot you if you don't take it. I don't know what they would do. Imprison you, I guess. But here's my point. They're not on a testing spree, or they're not on martial law testing extrication of data for influenza. And yet they still register 250 to 500,000. But in other areas of their material, you're going to find it can be as much as 800,000. But they don't test like they are with COVID-19. So what is that number? Is it double? No, I didn't post that on Twitter because I didn't want to completely send everybody over the deep end. But could it be triple? Okay, slow down. Let's go with 500,000. We have 14,450 deaths in COVID. One argument says we got exponential growth. The other argument says that we have flattening in other areas. Well, let's, give the exponentials a little bit of, grace. So then I challenged the community to show me how you get to 600,000 when we're at 14,450. Okay, I'm not going to go into the rant of, I'll tell you this, it's not complicated. Take the 10 or 20% at risk, cocoon them, put them in a cocoon, give them a nice, perfect world, medically speaking. Take the other 80%, give them a pep talk, and tell them to produce. It was that simple. So that tells me we got a problem. See, here's the Denmark, forced vaccinations. Nobody can tell me that these people in charge of the law can't figure out what I'm telling you right now. Nobody could give me, could square the math on how 14,450 becomes 600,000, or more likely 1.8 million. Okay, so then we go to this. Let's assume I'm right. Watching the numbers, yes, doing the math, running models, and I'm not going to get into exactly how we do it. April 10th looks like the clarity inflection. So I didn't say peak inflection. I didn't say market inflection. I said clarity. So what's the importance of clarity? Well, right now it's March 22nd. So what's that give us? That gives us 9 plus 10, 19 days to clarity. 19 days to clarity, just under 3 weeks. So when we come back here in 3 weeks, maybe it's the next Monday, maybe it's the Monday before, but somewhere in there, I think a lot of people are going to wake up because the numbers are going to be impossible to hide from. So if I'm wrong in 3 weeks, I'll be on here going, hey guys, guess what? I was wrong. Big deal. Because my job is to figure out what the possibilities are, right? My job is not the mark of a good trader is, hey, I'm going to look at everything. I'm going to poke and prod you. I'm going to piss you off until you give me what my best and worst outcomes are in every possible scenario. I want every single rock rolled over. Why? Because I trade odds. That's what my job is. So we've roughly gone into April 10th. Now, if you're taking any notes, take this note and underline it and tape it to your monitor. Between now and April 10th, there's a super massive high probability for a major shock event. However you want to say that to yourself. Between now and April 10th, prepare thyself for a massive shock. Now, I didn't put anything like that on Twitter. I didn't give even a hint of what I'm telling you right now. I'm telling you very clearly, there's a super high probability, and I'm not going to tell you exactly how we know, but what we know for sure is something's wrong. Okay, so let's work some logic, because a trader's got to be able to do this, right? Here's the logic. The math doesn't work. Okay, we know the math doesn't work. That's our bias. Something's wrong. Okay, so if the math doesn't work and something's wrong, at what point do the serfs, do the sheep figure out that they've been hoodwinked again? Because enough people start screaming from the rooftops, something is desperately wrong. Okay, where does that come in? Well, that comes in about April 10th, because the United States of the Great America is going to have a lot of time to run, and those numbers are going to come. And I'm absolutely convinced Trump knows what I'm saying to you right now. Now, I don't know what side of the fence he's on or whose team he's on. I know he knows. And I know the rest of them know. I know Kevin Bacon on TV singing pretty little songs or whatever he's doing, and the rest of them, they all know. So what's going to happen between now and clarity? Well, something's not right. If the math isn't right and I'm right, there's a major clarity moment coming. How do they keep everybody from clarity? How does the government or whoever it is, or whatever it is that's doing this, how do they keep everybody from clarity? Because clarity is coming about April 10th. Well, whatever that is that they will do to make sure that clarity is not there, is a major shock event. Massive. So what we've seen right now is a walk in the park. So I was hoping that somebody could prove me wrong. You see? You see why I was hoping somebody was going to prove me wrong on the weekend? Because if I'm wrong, then my thesis, my basic logical understanding of where we're going is wrong. In other words, we're not going to see the big shock event. I want to be wrong. It's a big deal. Trust me, it's huge. Now, if there is, like I think, some kind of opposing forces at war here, maybe the one side wins and we don't have to deal with the shock and we just get all clarity and we're all happy. That's the other possibility. But me as a trader, I don't want to go into this thinking with a bias and getting caught, right? Because if there's a massive shock event coming between now and approximately April 10th, I don't want to be positioned in a way that I get caught, because you can have all the stops you want on your long positions. You get caught, you're caught, whether you got stops or not. You want to make that the second note that you tape to your monitor. You see, when these instruments blow up, there's nothing left to get. So your stop got blown out. It doesn't exist. You won't get the money. So there's the second thing to point out. So here's what you want to do between now and April 10th is you want to use what's called risk management and not get yourself too sized up there. What you want to do is you want to make sure that until clarity comes and you get a feel for what is going to happen on the other side of that clarity, you don't want to have too much floating out there. Because you get a real true black swan shock that would be vicious. Those instruments can get blown out. XIV, when that happened, boom, there was nothing you could do. That's nothing. That's a walk in the tulips in comparison to what could happen here. So you're holding, let's say you're holding, because like this is all derivative, right? Let's say you're holding GDX, you're holding miners, and that gets blown out. It's got no value. There's nothing left. Let's say you're holding a company, right? Let's say you're holding the S&P. What happens if there's a massive shock and those algorithms that's a derivative? That's not a stock. And even if it is a stock, like you can be trading gold futures and you don't own gold. You own an algorithm. You can be trading a company, and even though you don't own an algorithm, you own a share in a company that could get obliterated in 36 seconds. This is possible. And nobody's ever heard me talk like this before. I mean, I've given hints, blah, 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 blah. But this is very clear. We have a runway or a timeline to clarity. This is the first time in this Black Swan event that we have a timeline to clarity. And it's approximately April 10th. Now, one thing I didn't like on a side note is this whole order that they keep speaking, that was actually a nuclear code for the population originally, that I didn't know that they had decided to start using it for biological warfare, and now for this, because the way that those codes for the population were designed is very specific codes. This goes back to nuclear concerns, and that really bothered me. Like, that's really weird. Like, why would you do that? Why wouldn't you just come up with a new term, a new code? Like, the etymology of that is get yourself to the bunker. Like, these are crazy times. So anyway, that's a side note. That's a rant. But the reality here is that we're somewhere around April 10th, the clarity. So sometime between now and then, you're either going to have a major shock because whoever's doing this won't want clarity to come. So the other side of that is whoever that is defeated in this possible war, and we get clarity and everybody's happy. So the other side of it is, hey, we're going to run. But you want to know how they're going to handle clarity, right? Whoever they are, whoever's in control of this gong show. So it's our job to prepare for that. Are you going to prepare for the downside? No, you're not going to prepare for the downside right now, because we already had the downside that's tradable. Any further downside, a major shock. Now, sure, you can put some short on there, but you don't want to be too heavy, because you don't know if it's going to blow up. You don't even know if you're going to get your money. Really important. I'm sorry, I'm sipping a wonderful batch of all kinds of stuff in my tea. It's a little spicy. So I think you get the feel. So my job is to prepare you for that. So what do we got? We got the 22nd right now, then we're going to have the 29th. Then we're going to have, I don't know what it is in April, but we're going to have the 6th or 7th, whatever it comes. So we're going to have 3. This is going to happen fast. I sure hope, whatever gong show is going on with these guys, that one side wins and, clarity inflection's coming and we get to run. That's the curt positive side. That's what I have hope for. But what if I'm not right? What if hope isn't right? And they know clarity is coming. What are they going to do to keep us from clarity? I mean, after April 10th, we're kind of in the clear. I'm not talking about the virus and I'm not talking about other stuff, but after approximately April 10th, we're kind of in the clear because clarity is there. We've had to deal with it. Either there's going to be something major to keep us from clarity, or clarity rules and wins out and everybody's happy. So if that's the scenario, we're kind of past it in so many different ways. Like, I'm not just talking about trading here. I'm talking about life. And that's not the mandate of what I'm supposed to be doing tonight. But, as a good will human being, I got to tell you, mathematically and logically, it doesn't make any sense for whatever the hell they're doing if this is actually some kind of weird, bizarre war between factions or whatever, trying to keep us in the dark. I can only imagine what they're going to do as clarity starts. It's just that, who knows? Maybe they let it go and then there's something else. But I mean, a lot of this is just bizarre. So I don't want to get too confused, make this too confusing. April 10th is your clarity and inflection. Could be, just could be that we shut the world down for a bad flu. Mathematically, jury is still out. We'll know soon. Open mind. So then I go on to, things like convert your spoils. So there's going to be spoils here. We're going to win this thing. Take some of that, convert it, get it out of there. freedoms. I mean, freedoms are just getting obliterated. Freedom of finance was gone a long time ago, or finance movement, or finance anything. Physical movement, that's gone. Freedom of mind, well, there's a good example this weekend. Me talking about the mathematics. I was just working grade 1 math with everybody. I didn't, I was prepared to get into some serious math. I thought for sure I'd get challenged in a cohesive manner, but nobody brought a good argument. But anyway, so freedom of mind is obviously obliterated. And, body and health, I mean, look at your grocery stores. It's all, the whole place is a refined sugar fest. I mean, we're losing it all right now. And I know I'm on a rant. But why is it important? It's all important for, your family's finances and where you come on the other side. So, I'm just looking here quick. So here's the stores of value. So this is why we've been focused on machine trading. Because I don't know if gold and silver are going to be worth anything. Look, here's your trading plan for gold and silver and Bitcoin. It's this simple. Well, first, silver, even if the darkest, deepest scenario plays out, they need silver for everything from AI to computers to every technology in the future. So silver will always be here. It will always have a value. I just don't know what it'll be. But it's going to have value. Gold, on the other hand, may not. No, unless they have a different technology that can replace the silver, but I don't see that anytime soon. So would I bet, I bet on silver before I bet on gold, but here's a little conspiracy theory for you. Or an observation. Trump loves gold. Everything is wrapped in gold around him. Look at his residences and stuff. So I wouldn't doubt that does well too, but here's the problem. They're not going to let those things run. So on the other side of April 10th, if we're in clarity and if the markets are running and everything's happy, gold and silver are probably going to run because they're going to let them run a little bit. But they're not going to let them run, 2100 to 2700 is the very most. You got absolute nuclear war at 2700. So, keep that in mind. But you want to store a value for the worst possible scenario. I would bet on silver before gold. But how much value would it have? Then the next one is diamonds, and that's debatable. Crypto is extremely debatable, but the same thing. There's your trading plan. If everybody's happy, we're past the inflection of clarity, they should let BTC go for a bit. 14,000, 10, 12, 14, maybe even 60. And I'm speaking in general terms, silver into maybe 20, gold maybe into 21, crypto maybe into, and I'm talking roughly. So then as we get closer to clarity, if everything's happy and the markets run, I think you're comfortably safe in those three. But if we got chaos and things are still disorderly and they're not progressively after clarity positive, then I don't think those will run because they can control them. And people that don't think they can are out of their minds. Fine art is probably a pretty good bet, but we'll see. And property scattered in different places because you never know. There might be factions, right? But those are, so anyway, we've focused on number one. Number one for us is if we can build machine software, and we're starting to code the swings now. If we can build machine software that trades on any computer, decentralized, as if it's the person trading, it's impossible to touch. It's impossible to shut down. It's not like crypto. It's not like blockchain. Because while the markets exist, it will exist. So this is literally, it's one thing to say things, it's one thing to believe something, and it's another thing to act on it, right? I mean, I'm sitting in the middle of a third world country because I believe in what I do so much, and there's hardly anybody here. I'm totally exposed. I'm sitting with $70,000 worth of computer equipment, and people are about to starve. You get my point. So, it's not Kurt just, flailing around with some kind of imaginary, dream. We're into real serious time. It's March 22nd and April 10th is coming fast. This is I got to say, I was really disappointed I didn't get people challenging me on that math. I want to be wrong here. Okay, so let's say Kurt's, radar might be binging for a valid reason here. Those collateralized debt obligations of 08 and 09 were Mickey Mouse. I mean, they've even expressed the fact, the people that were in the room at the time, and they changed the laws, right? So that they could structure the bailout the way they did, because it went against what the founding fathers of the United States of America warned against. When they did that, they knew that the solution was 10 minutes. They could have solved it in so many other ways, and it could have been solved instantly without even a blip. Right now, the nightly repos and the things that you don't even see happening right now are manifold times daily of the whole event in 0809. This is what people are going to talk about after the fact. This is massive. So they got to fix it soon. So January 10th, clarity, because the only reality is the reality of the sheep. The only reality is the reality that the masses see as reality, right? The economy is based on the mall. Everybody's houses are around the mall for a reason. So if the masses are happy and they're buying, that's the economy, right? Clarity's coming. You see? So somebody has to let clarity come or do something to avoid clarity. It's a big play here. This is the biggest play I've seen set up in the history of the markets. This is massive. And going into this for 4 or 5 years, I was telling everybody I could see all of this. But I'm not taking a victory lap on that. What I'm saying is this is massive inflection time. Like, this is the linchpin, the center of the vortex of this problem. Now, did I expect it right now? I gotta admit, I didn't see it coming until after the election. So it's a little early. So that even freaks me out more, because it's like, are we gonna, what's coming after? Right? Okay, so I think I've got the point across. So there's a lot of different notes in there. You can take a look through it. So the important thing is, hey, we got to trade through it. But first, I wanted to make sure that your logic is working right, so that you can maneuver your account and your positioning and your sizing and your bias and that kind of stuff, generally speaking, so you don't get yourself into trouble. So once again, going into April 10th, if you see that everybody's happy and it's moving towards a clarity inflection and everybody goes, oh, we're over it, right? And of course, they'll all take their victory laps and, all of that, then great, there's no panic right now. And we deal with the next round. But don't forget, this round, 4 days before this implosion started, we were messaging, we're out, for the most part. We're unloading heavy. So our timing's not bad, right? So we'll see. Hopefully, it's the happy. And then, the next one's going to come. Okay. So I think we got you set properly for that. Any questions about it, go ahead and shoot me a note. Now, in the trading room, I posted a few notes. So we start late from the White House briefing. If there's any issues with sound quality, shoot me a note, but you'll get the videos and hopefully the written reports. Hopefully there's not too much chaos here this week. I got to admit, running the math, like there's a lot we do without saying anything. We don't tell you, I don't say, hey, there's 4 of us running math on all these different scenarios and probabilities for the wackos that are probably running our world. And, I just don't go into that. But that's our reality. So that's why it's been difficult to get the last set of reporting out. But once again, just for clarity, we did get the videos out. Okay, if we have an internet fade, I'll sign back in as needed. We do have active futures trade. That's calmed down a fair bit right now. We expect to run about 4 hours and we'll likely take 3 to 4 quick breaks. If you have a stock, okay, so I've seen a few in email there and I'll definitely bring those in. So tonight's topics include April 10th, so I've dealt with that. I'm preparing setups for into and out of that time cycle. So we got to look at volatility first and the S&P and some larger structures. Also to be reviewed is oil. It's nearing its lows. Now its lows could be $10. It could be $8. It's 22 right now. So is that near the lows? Well, the way that oil's trading, 22 is pretty close to $8 because it can it can get there in an hour, right? But anyway, I think you get my point. So you have an idea of my my perspective on BTC. So on Bitcoin, on silver, on gold, on oil. You know our 6 stage bet. But I want to look at the structure of oil. I want to look at volatility, the S&P. I probably won't look at the dollar tonight because we have a report coming out on it. I probably won't do that until next week. And that's, the dollar is going to have everything to do with that inflection, which way we're going into that inflection. But there could be a big opportunity in the dollar. The dollar could surprise people and run, just so you know. But we're going to have to wait and see here. So I'm going to first dig into, so we're going to do VIX and we're going to do the S&P first, oil, and then I'm going to go into your requests and then we're going to go into the equity setups, swing trade setups. I'll just give you a real quick note on these, sorry, so I can get them off the screen. So this is Boeing, highly risky positioning. It's on the swing trading feed. And all I can tell you is we're starting very small longs because we see the possibility that we're going to end up with a bounce here. And that is based on the fact that we're sitting on top of this previous high right now. So, you can always, with these monthly, weekly, daily, or whatever, you get the whole history of a stock. You can always find, the general logical main pivot area or areas. But you see this low here when it flashed down, and then this high here. And you just take this and you go, okay, well, let's draw a line here. And, more often than not, your probabilities are quite decent. You're going to see a pop in here. Now, where's the pop going to go? Well, go to your previous highs. The first one is at 144. That's a nice, target. And you go to your next, and then you go to your next, and your next. And that's it. But, there, it takes you to 141.96. That's not a bad first price target. And then 182. Now, whether, who knows? You have to do your own work on this, because there's the issue of buybacks and all kinds of political issues here, whether they bail them out. But you got to remember, and it depends on, what these airline companies are to each country. But countries don't let their national airlines go bankrupt. They don't need to have, the United States of America on the side of the airline, on each airplane. And so you have to do all your own fundamental research. But anyway, we did take a small piece in here. Even if we hit the stop, and I listed the stop, I can't remember what it was, we'll keep chipping at this one, because I think we got a good opportunity there. And then Square was kind of the same idea in terms of its pivot area. Now, in this case, this was a trend line pivot area. And, where two trend lines meet price, or two or more meet price, get ready for action. So, this is a perfect hit here. This is a near perfect hit here. These are weeklies. And I had said back when we were running longs up through here that we would probably end up with 90s. And it was just, shy. It was $3 shy of 90 when, this Hollywood actions. Did I say that? What's it called again? The virus. Right before this has all happened, we were close to that. I mean, what a run. It's a beauty. Why am I on about it? Because that's where it's going. Okay. Now, pardon me. Sorry, guys. Where two or more meet. So here's two or more meet, 72. But here, two or more meet. That's 92. Is it going to get there at 92 or 72? I don't know. Is it going to come lower? I guess it could. But this is the main structure. I mean, it should bounce here. Technically speaking, this thing should bounce. And this is, I'm telling you, a company that's positioned into singularity. Jack should pull this off. Now, Jack might get himself in the middle of the war of the Titans here. But, there again, I have another, theory. And I think Jack's already cut his deals. I think Jack's going to be okay. I think probability is higher for Jack that things are going to be okay. I think that the warlords have extricated or begun the process of extricating all of these tech companies. I mean, look at Bill Gates. He stepped down, right? I think it's pretty obvious they're pulling the guts out of them and reorganizing them and putting a new paint job on them. So I think Square's, going into the future. Like, I think you can literally in the future add a zero on the end of that. Like, literally, it's a $400 stock, but it's not anytime soon. And it only is if my thesis is right. And my thesis is that, we're witnessing the extrication of the innards of these big tech companies right now. I think that's part of the war. I think it's a big part of the war. Look at Bezos, he unloaded heavy. Bill Gates steps down. I mean, everything. Okay, so I love it. Is my point. S&P. So this is the structure we've had for a couple of years. It all means something, but the most important thing are these trend lines. Now, we just talked about an inflection of clarity into April 10th. The S&P, anything under this red line right here, I would just call it broken. And, you know, if you want to start along somewhere and you think things are going to get happy, I don't think it matters so much where you do it underneath here in terms of technically, can I give you a lot of technical insight? No, you just go back to the chart and you go, okay, guess what? We have that, obvious pivot that Kurt talks about right here. 211, 213. I mean, every trader on the planet's watching it. You got one just above, but your main one's there in the 214 area. Okay, sorry about my cough. That's a smoker's cough, and I've always had it, so relax. So your next one's down here. So my point is, I wouldn't get too exact. And you can go further back in your charting. You can even go to the weekly. Here's my main point. You might see us take a long because that inflection, we're good. You might see us start under this red line, but that red line is your mark. Above that is structure, and you'll notice it's been banging up against it. Even got a little bit up. Once it's up and it stays there and the markets are happy and we're going back to happy land, that's your support. So that's what we'll be trading. So if it continues to dump and it looks like our inflection is going to turn happy, then we'll start to take positions, and that you'll probably see that between 211 and 215. Wow, sorry, 220, 211 to 220. That's probably what's going to happen. It's at 229 now. If we don't get happy into the inflection, well, hold on, right? So then that brings you, here, 159 area, then into 138, and then, I'm just taking the previous highs. It's not complicated. I'm not laughing at the people that trade this for a living, but I'm telling you, it's trading S&P. Well, anyway, take a monthly chart and you'll see what I mean. Okie dokie. Sorry, I don't want to piss anybody off there, and I get it you can be trading lower time frames and stuff like that. But you want to be up over that 243 area and a happy market. And then once it's up in there, well, look at, hey, if we get clarity going into the 10th and everything's happy, you're looking at new all-time highs. Like that scenario is very possible here. So that's S&P. Let's go into volatility really quick, and then we'll go into oil, and then we'll go into equities you've asked about, and then into alerts. And I'll start moving a lot faster, and I won't rant so much. Hey, in this webinar series, I haven't ranted much at all. For me, anyway. My time is coming soon to get quiet on Twitter. You'll see me, well, probably as of now. I just don't have any choice. We don't just have, the trading of this period of time to do. We've got a whole lot of other stuff. I want to be retired by the time I'm 55. I'm 52. The only way I can do that is to finish, the swing trading platform, our traders platform, and all the coding and stuff, right? So anyway, I got to get busy. Look at this, right into the time cycle. Look at that. So this is a weekly, right? Beauty. Anytime you're up over 70, careful. It's trading 66. But hey, next week could be the peak, but it could be 1 week either way, either side. And that thing could hit 130. So, hey, didn't we talk about April 10th? Let's see here. March 23rd. So March 23rd, to, call it a week. So March 30th, right? A week either side brings you into April 7th. Isn't that interesting? See, this volatility chart says I would make this the third thing you write down on your monitor or write down on a piece of paper and tape to your monitor. Don't write it on your monitor. Volatility says you're going to see the event first. And then who knows, maybe clarity will happen right after. Because we're trending into the time cycle with volatility peaking. So these time cycles, typically you don't dump, you don't go into it and dump into it. You got a trajectory into it or not. But the problem is these are large, these are large candles, they're weekly candles, and it could be a week or even two either side. And we've seen previously in volatility, like this one here, the peak was a week after. I mean, it peaked right into the target perfectly, but then it peaked again the week after. So you get my point. But if I had to make the bet just based on the volatility chart, I'd say you ain't seen nothing yet. 130. And then, well, let's just say we had the cataclysmic event. 130 might become 251 pretty quick. So there you go, there's volatility. How do you like that? Hopefully you bought insurance. Now, maybe, it just keeps peaking around here, the 70 that I've been talking about for a long time. And by the way, the lady that cooks for me just showed up to cook for me. So, 5 or 10 minutes, there'll be a bit of noise here. So the, possibility is that the structure as it was expected, maybe it holds, but the thing is, it's been running for 2 weeks, banging through it. That's not normal either. So, take those considerations, but keep your insurance on. We still have some on, and we've done really well with it. It's been fantastic. And OVX, same thing, oil volatility. Would I add to it now? No, I wouldn't. Wait until the other side of the cycle. And if things start to chill out, start shorting it. And, that's what it implies. It implies we're going into, what this implies is we're going to run, from that clarity inflection into the end of August. Like this implies we're going to rally. We're going to have a blast. And anytime you get this kind of volatility in this kind of a scenario and stuff, like the moves are big. So, the run should be a blast. But the fractal or the opposite is always possible. And you got to be nimble enough, and your bias has to be clear enough. You have to be clear enough to recognize, hey, we're trending the other way, right? So, but it's very possible we're going to have a bull rally until the end of August. But you got to get on the other side of this, the other side of the mathematical clarity. Now, they might deal with that mathematical clarity in a way that, because you know what, they're magicians. They are experts at what they do, and they surprise me, like the way that they do things, like they are good. So they might just get in front of the TV cameras and say, hey, you know what? Hey, we conquered it. Yay. All of us together, the Democrats, the Republicans, and hey, thanks, China. And yay, we beat the aliens. And not even deal with the fact that the math didn't work, right? Just because I'm a math geek doesn't mean they have to serve me. So, they might not even, they might just go into happy land, right? And just kind of go, sweep under the carpet. Like, they did with SARS and they did with Ebola and all the other ones that were supposed to end the world. That's all they did. They just go to a new theme. It's just a new movie. Literally. Oh, it's next Friday. It's date night. And, Ebola is the new movie. Literally, this is what's happening to us. It's crazy. And sorry about the noise there, but it looks like a good dinner she's making. Okay, so, and I wish I could share it with you, but I can't. Whenever you guys want to come down, when this is over, come on down and we'll do up some big feasts on the patios. Gracias. Okay, so that's volatility. So then we've got equities to do, and I'll pick up the pace when we get back. We're gonna have a really quick break. I just want to get this meal in. It'll take me at most 10 minutes. So we're gonna do equities when we come back. I'm gonna do your requests first, and then we're gonna do equities. And we're just gonna fly. We'll probably only do one more break tonight because it's almost 9 o'clock. And, I got to make sure we, and who knows, maybe I'll go to 12 tonight or something like that. You're going to end up with the video anyway. But because she's cooking right now and there's a little bit of noise for the next 5 minutes, let's take a 10-minute break. Let's call it 8:50. So 10 to 9, we're going to be back and we'll get into the rest of it. And I'll probably just run right through until 11 o'clock at that point.